Have you ever stopped for a moment and asked yourself a question that feels bigger than money, bigger than markets, a question that touches your future? Curious. What if the moment we are living in right now is one of those rare moments that people only recognize years later? What if today is the kind of moment people look back on and say, that was the time when everything started changing? Because sometimes life quietly places an opportunity in front of us, and it doesn't shout. It simply waits for those who are paying attention. Think about it. Every generation faces a moment where people must decide whether they will watch history happen or become part of it. Some people wait, some people doubt. Some people tell themselves there is always more time, but deep down, something inside keeps asking that powerful question. Thoughtful, what if this is the moment that matters? Right now, people everywhere are feeling uncertainty. Prices are rising, markets are shifting, and the world seems to be moving faster than ever before. When times like this arrive, one thing always begins to enter the conversation again and again: gold. For thousands of years, when people felt unsure about the future, they looked toward gold as a symbol of protection, stability, and strength. And that is why this question feels so personal today. Is this the moment when smart people start preparing? Is this the moment when those who pay attention make a move while others are still distracted? Because opportunities rarely look obvious in the beginning. They look like questions, they look like curiosity, they look like that quiet voice in your mind asking, should I be paying attention to this right now? And sometimes that simple question becomes the beginning of a very powerful decision. Look around at the moment we are living in right now. Something feels different. The world feels restless, uncertain, and constantly changing. Every day there are new headlines, new worries, new questions about the future. Economies are shifting, currencies are losing strength, and people everywhere are starting to wonder what the next few years will really look like. It feels like the ground beneath the global financial system is slowly moving, and many people can sense it even if they cannot fully explain it. Moments like this have appeared before in history, times when the world stood at a turning point, times when people who were paying attention realized that something bigger was unfolding. These moments are never obvious at first. They begin quietly, a few signals here, a few unusual movements there, and slowly, piece by piece, the picture becomes clearer. Right now, gold is sending one of those signals. Prices have been climbing, attention has been growing, and investors across the world are beginning to watch closely. When uncertainty rises, when confidence in traditional systems begins to shake, gold often becomes a symbol of stability. It becomes a place where people turn when they want something real, something solid, something that has survived every crisis humanity has ever faced. This is why so many people are starting to ask questions again, not out of fear, but out of awareness. They can feel that the financial world is entering a new phase, a phase where preparation matters more than comfort, a phase where those who understand the signs early may have an advantage that others will only recognize much later. And when you start to see these signals appear across the world at the same time, you begin to realize that this moment may not be ordinary at all. There is a pattern that repeats again and again in history. When something important begins to happen in the financial world, the smartest money moves first, quietly, calmly, without noise. While most people are still distracted by daily life, the biggest investors, the wealthiest institutions, and the most experienced minds begin positioning themselves for what they see coming next. They don't wait for certainty. They don't wait for headlines to confirm everything. They move when the signals start appearing. And this is where the feeling of fear often appears for ordinary people. Because when you hear that the biggest players are buying something, a question immediately comes to mind. What do they see that others don't? What are they preparing for that the average person has not yet realized? That feeling of uncertainty can make people freeze. It can make them wait. It can make them believe they should stay on the sidelines until everything becomes clear. But here is the truth that many successful investors understand. By the time everything feels safe and obvious, the biggest opportunities are often already gone. The early movers are the ones who benefit the most because they acted when others were still hesitating. Right now, conversations around gold are growing stronger across the world. Investors, banks, and financial experts are talking about protection, stability, and preparation. These conversations are not happening by accident. They are happening because people who study markets closely are seeing signals signals that others might ignore, and this is where attention becomes powerful. Because when you begin to notice where smart money is quietly moving, you start to understand something important. Opportunities rarely announce themselves loudly, they reveal themselves slowly to those who are curious enough to ask the right questions and brave enough to pay attention before the crowd wakes up. Inside every big decision, there is always a battle. A quiet battle that happens in the mind. One voice says, "Wait, maybe this is not the right time." Another voice whispers, "But what if this is exactly the time you should be paying attention?" That inner struggle is something every person feels when they stand in front of an opportunity that could change the future. When people hear about gold rising or see investors talking about it again, the first reaction is often doubt. Some people think it is too late, others think it is too risky. Many simply feel confused because the financial world can seem complicated and unpredictable. Doubt grows easily when the future is uncertain, and uncertainty has a way of making people hesitate. But at the same time, another feeling begins to grow. Curiosity, awareness, a small spark of belief that maybe there is something important happening. When you see more discussions about gold, when you notice more investors paying attention, when you realize that the world is entering a time of change, that spark becomes stronger. This is where courage slowly begins to replace hesitation, because the people who succeed in moments like this are not the ones who feel zero doubt. They are the ones who move forward even while questions still exist. They understand that waiting for perfect clarity is often the biggest illusion of all. Every great opportunity creates this emotional contrast. Fear and hope, doubt and belief, hesitation and action, and the people who eventually benefit are often those who learn to listen carefully to the deeper voice inside them. The voice that says sometimes growth begins the moment you stop letting uncertainty control your decisions and start paying attention to the possibilities unfolding around you. Sometimes the truth about a big moment is not hidden in complicated charts or endless numbers. Sometimes the signs are actually simple, clear, and right in front of us. You don't need to be a financial expert to notice when something unusual begins to happen. All you need is awareness. You need to look at the bigger picture and ask yourself one honest question. Why are so many powerful signals appearing at the same time? Across the world, something interesting has been unfolding. Large investors are paying attention. Central banks, the institutions that control the financial power of entire countries, have been steadily increasing their gold reserves. These are not emotional decisions. These are strategic moves made by people who study risk, stability, and the long-term future of money. When institutions with that level of responsibility begin to move toward gold, it sends a message that is hard to ignore. At the same time, investment funds have also been flowing into gold markets. More people are looking for protection, for something that has real value beyond digital numbers on a screen. Gold has always represented that idea. For thousands of years, it has been trusted as something tangible, something that survives economic storms, political changes, and financial uncertainty. Even major financial institutions and analysts have started raising their expectations for gold prices. They are studying inflation, global debt, economic slowdowns, and geopolitical tensions, and many of them see gold as a powerful shield during uncertain times. These are not random opinions. These are conclusions built from data, research, and years of observing how markets behave when the world becomes unstable. When several signals like this appear together, it creates a pattern that tells a story about preparation, about awareness, and about understanding where stability might be found when the financial world begins to shake. For many people, gold is just a price on a screen, a number that goes up, a number that goes down, something traders talk about and analysts debate on financial channels. But the truth about gold is much deeper than that. Gold is not just about price. It is about security. It is about patience. It is about having something real when the world around you starts to feel uncertain. Throughout history, civilizations have risen and fallen, currencies have changed, financial systems have been rebuilt again and again, but one thing has remained constant. When people want something they can trust, something that holds its value through storms and uncertainty, they turn to gold. It has survived wars, economic crises, and generations of change. That is not just a coincidence. That is a sign of strength that has been tested for thousands of years. This is why gold often becomes important during times of global uncertainty. It represents protection. It represents preparation. It represents the idea that while the world may change, some forms of value remain timeless. When people buy gold, they are not always chasing profit. Many of them are searching for peace of mind. They want to know that part of their wealth is stored in something solid, something physical, something that cannot simply disappear with the next market shock. That is why the conversation about gold is never just about numbers. It is about confidence. It is about responsibility toward the future. It is about building a foundation that can stand strong even when financial systems face pressure. For many investors, gold represents a quiet kind of power. The power of being prepared, the power of thinking long-term, and the power of choosing stability when the world around you feels unpredictable. And this is where everything comes back to one powerful moment. The moment when a person decides to truly pay attention. Because history has shown us something again and again. The biggest opportunities rarely feel comfortable in the beginning. They don't arrive with perfect clarity. They don't come with guarantees. Instead, they arrive quietly, surrounded by questions, surrounded by uncertainty, waiting for those who are willing to look deeper. Think about the people who recognized important moments in the past. The people who saw change coming before everyone else did. At the time, many others doubted them. Many people said it was too early, too risky, too uncertain. But those who understood the signals didn't wait for the crowd. They didn't wait for everyone to agree. They simply paid attention, trusted their awareness, and prepared themselves before the world fully realized what was happening. Right now, we may be standing in one of those moments again. A moment where the financial world is shifting, where investors are searching for stability, where the conversation about gold is growing louder across the globe. Some people will watch from the sidelines, waiting for everything to become obvious. Others will begin asking deeper questions, looking at the signs and thinking about what these signals might mean for the future. Because sometimes the difference between those who benefit from change and those who miss it is not intelligence or luck. Sometimes it is simply awareness, the willingness to slow down, observe what is happening, and recognize when the world might be entering a new chapter. And when that awareness appears, it creates a powerful feeling, the feeling that this moment might matter more than we realize.